Sky Squad, we are back in the building, and we got to talk about the Kenya Moore and Marc Daly of it all. She called him a FaceTime father. A FaceTime father, y'all. I mean, how much more absentee can you get? He just lives in the phone, like Jamal. Let's get into the story. All right. So the headline reads Kenya Moore accuses ex Mark of only seeing his daughter twice in the past 2 years, labeling him a FaceTime father and responding to his request that she be found in contempt for the altercation with Marlo and the door at her trip on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. All right, so let's get into it. So, Kenya Moore has primary custody of Brooklyn, right? With Mark having visitation. She has been forced to defend herself because Mark accused her of violating a court order that required her to inform him of when their child would be appearing on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, Radar Online, of course, obtained documents. They always get in the documents where Mark claimed that Kenya failed to tell him that she would be filming a home run pizza commercial with their child and that Brooklyn was present when Marlo tried to kick in Kenya's hotel door. So, you guys may recall initially Mark opposed Brooklyn filming, but she pointed out that her role on Real Housewives of Atlanta required her to include her full life. And ultimately, as you guys recall, the judge ruled that Brooklyn could film. And it has helped her round out her story. But Mark had to be informed of when she'd be on camera. Now, after Mark's claims against her, Kenya said in her own documents that Mark was aware of her commercial with the pizza company and actually consented to it. And she denied any violations. So basically, she's alleging that he lied. Okay. She also said that Brooklyn was never seen or on camera and that the minor child was not even aware that someone was at the hotel door. Now, this is when Marlo was kicking in the door. I'm not sure if Kenya made a reference to Brooklyn being scared on the show. So that seems a little bit different. I thought I remember that happening. Y'all let me know in the chat if y'all remember that or if I'm just making it up. Anyway, the door was kicked in. This is what the document says. The door was kicked when the door that was kicked was the living room door of a parlor suite, wherein the minor child was in the bedroom. Okay. So it's saying that there was a little bit of distance between Marlo kicking the door and wherever Brooklyn was. And then it added that Kenya would have no reason to know that someone would kick her door, but immediately address the situation, and the parties left without further provocation. We definitely saw her handle the situation. Okay, we remember that. Now, here is where things get more interesting. In addition to, you guys may recall, of accusing Kenya of being in contempt of court, Mark said in his court documents that he repeatedly requests calls and FaceTimes with Brooklyn and provides available time, but that Kenya is ignoring him and refusing to cooperate with in person visits. Now, he says that he's only spoken to Brooklyn 2 times in June. Okay. But Kenya paints a very different picture. Kenya says that Mark began to erratically change the times that he wanted to call on a whim. He did this for the purpose of attempting to create an issue. The mother has employed the father to be consistent with his calls, which he refuses to do. Nevertheless, father has been random in his behavior and unwilling to stick to the established schedule. They continue on. They say the evidence will show that the father is simply a FaceTime father. I mean, FaceTime father. Oh, yes. Who is inconsistent with even talking to his child at best. He doesn't visit her, makes promises to her that he does not keep, and continues to disrupt the normalcy that the mother has strived so very hard to provide for the minor child. For example, listen to this. The mother planned, with the father's consent, a trip to Disneyland. The father committed to coming, causing the mother to pay for the cost of travel for he and the child. So, based on what this is saying, it's alleging that Kenya actually paid for Mark's travel, okay, and the cost of lodging for everybody. So then it says, father, after committing to show, failed to show up, disappointing the child who was excited with the anticipation of seeing him, and then costing Kenya thousands of dollars because I'm sure she won't gonna be flying him coach. Okay. So Mark is blaming Kenya for his lack of contact with Brooklyn, but she is telling the court that he only found interest in his child after requesting he film with her to showcase the relationship. So it's this idea that he only showed interest in Brooklyn after she asked him to film. That's that was a while ago, y'all. That was a while ago. And mm, that ain't looking too good. Then, okay. Kenya said that despite visiting Atlanta twice, he did not visit with their daughter. Kenya, it says that Kenya actually paid for and traveled with Mark, well, excuse me, with Brooklyn to New York, all right, on two occasions where he did see the child. The father has only seen his child twice in 2 years. And in both instances, the mother, on her own expense, took the child to see the father. Okay. And it says that Kenya has made multiple good faith attempts to reach a settlement, but that Mark is intentionally hindering the divorce proceedings. She then requested that he pay her court fees. And the update on all of this is that they're headed to divorce trial in the next couple of weeks. All right, y'all. That's a lot, right? I know it's a lot. It's a lot. It's heavy. It's heavy because we are talking about a child and we're talking about the father of the child and, what may or may not be happening in different allegations. So I try to be sensitive when I'm telling you guys and give you guys the facts. So now let's give you, at least the allegations. So now let me put the alleged badge up here. So now let's really get into it. If this man hasn't seen his child in the past 2 years, he has no interest in seeing this child. Okay. That's just basically what it sounds like to me. There's not really that much interest there. I don't know if there was, I'm not sure what their arrangement was for this entire thing. But it sounds like now he's making it pretty complicated, or at least my perspective, for her to get away from him or to get or at least to get, I don't know, to get through this situation. That's what it feels like to me. I can't really speak for what he's actually going through or what he's actually dealing with, but it just feels like, brother, like just let it go. Like, I mean, you getting a piece of more mana is it don't even sound right to me. It don't even sound right. Speaking of things that don't sound right, we got a little light for y'all. Okay, a little light. So our friends over at Reality Blurb, they posted this really interesting article, and I can't wait for you guys to read it. Kim had been selling off her designer items. Okay, well, according to Reality Blurb, and according to this Instagram page right here, which really does a deep dive into the good and the bad and the fake, okay? Um, allegedly, okay, of Kim Zolciak's life. All right. We get a lot of like inconsistent things when it comes to these designer bags, as you guys can see here. This post right here says, okay, now this is just wrong. Brand new according to Kim's description. Listen, I'm not a bag connoisseur, so to speak. I have a couple of, designer pieces or whatever. But the way these people talking, these bags ain't supposed to look like this, especially if they brand new, babes. I mean, Kim, let's get into it. All right. Let's get into the story. So, Kim is being accused of selling a used and fake Louis Vuitton bag as brand new for $3,500. Okay. Now, the image, as you guys can see here, seems to show some type of either visible wear and tear or some type of damage to the material. All right. Now, all of this is happening in the midst of, Kim owing a lot of money to the government, as well as, a lot of creditors are calling and they're wanting their monies. And, it makes sense that Kim would be selling some of her wares, but the people in the comments are dragging her for the filth. Okay. Um, Now, granted, if you want to sell a fake designer bag for $14,000, that's your prerogative. But what I will tell you guys is this, and let me hop back on the screen. One thing I do know about these designer purchases is that when you purchase a designer bag, the difficulty with purchasing the item itself from a particular owner is they should be able to provide you with some level of authenticity, okay? Some way to authenticate and prove what this, if this is actually real designer, a serial number of some sort or something. If they cannot give you all of the details that would indicate that this is actually a real designer bag, I would suggest that you go and you find your designer bags elsewhere. Sites like rebag.com, sites like The Real Real, they actually go through the authentication process to ensure that the bags are exactly what you are looking for if you are looking for designer bags. Now, the case with Kim is that is this. For the everyday person who may be looking to buy some designer that is like brand new and you are selling it for like brand new prices, people are likely going to begin to become up in arms when they feel as though now you have sold them something fake for the whopping price of $3,000. Okay. Now, I cannot verify these bags are 100% real or not, at least in this post. However, I'm just letting you guys know, buyer always beware when purchasing these items from individuals. Okay? Because if they can't provide you with some way to authenticate the bag, then that does raise a red flag for me. Okay. So with that being said, let me know what y'all think. Are y'all buying these bags and things like that from Kim, or do you even care if it's not designer? Because some people just don't care, and that's fine too. Listen, I'm not knocking your hustle, but if you're gonna pay $3,500, the bag does need to be real. Okay. So anyway, buyer beware, as I stated before. With that being said, it is Renaissance Day. It is actually, honestly, it's 1 in the morning while I'm doing this video. It is. Why am I up? I have no idea. But I decided that I wanted to be able to get this tea out to you guys and have it set for the morning. It's a Renaissance weekend here in Washington, D.C. So y'all know my Sunday night is about to be lit. Okay. All right. With that being